Good day, everyone. Welcome to the Reality Circle. And today's episode, we'll be talking about how childhood experience affect adult relationships. And today we have our esteemed guest, our honorable and amazing guest. By my left hand side, we have our model, whose name is Sugar. And also we have our multi-talented guest, whose name is Orlando. He does content creating, he's a musician. He practically does everything. So let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you very much.
So how are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you.
You're looking like you're not all right.
I'm very okay.
Okay.
I'm very okay.
All right. So, what's your take on childhood experience affecting the relationship, like adult relationships? Or would you like to start first?
Yeah, I would like to start because personally, I have issues with abusive men. So I feel like abusive men, it's not something that they just get to learn. It's their upbringing, what they see people do, what they see people around them do, what they see their parents do. Because abusive relationship doesn't necessarily mean it's a one gender thing. It could be from the woman, it could be from the man. So, but the more rampant one is mostly from the man. So imagine a child growing up and he sees the way his dad beats his mom and he feels like, oh, I think it's the right thing for him to do, or that's the normal way you discipline a woman that you marry. So imagine that kind of man. You obviously know that his upbringing is actually very, very bad. Imagine a man getting married to a woman and you cannot just sit down and just have a good conversation with your wife. You just feel like everything you do has to be aggressive. You have to discipline your spouse. Like that's the normal thing. So most of the time, your upbringing basically affects
So,
relationships like
whatever the
that.
child sees from a very tender age tends to
Exactly.
grow in
Exactly.
them.
That's normal. Charity begins at home.
Okay.
So, aside abusive relationship, emotional damage. Some men are broken not because they learned it from somewhere. It could possibly be what let me say, okay, their mom.
They see as a norm.
Like as a norm, like it's not a bad thing. They don't know how to talk to their partner. They are so authoritative, they are so controlling. Do you get? So most of this thing, it's not just something that happens, it's just upbringing. I feel most of that you see as a red flag most times is from mostly upbringing. That's how they were raised. So obviously, um upbringing affects adult relationship in one way or the other.
Thank you very much. Mr. Orlando, so what do you have to say about it? Do you agree with her or not?
I actually agree with her. Kids like growing up, you will know that you learn faster by what you see.
See.
You understand, not necessarily what you hear. Because if you learn by what you hear, every child will be very intelligent.
Okay.
So they learn faster by what they see, and it tends to stay with them till they get to like an older age, and they also like practicalize it in their life. That, like she said, they think it's right. You understand? But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't. It's not always like that. You understand? And it can also be stretched, along along the line, in the sense that it's not just negativity. You understand? Kids learn good things.
Yes.
Yes.
You
It
know,
has to be the negative
yeah,
and the
And
it
the
has to be
positive.
positive
negative and
side,
positive.
Okay.
So I wouldn't want us to streamline it to just
negative
Negative.
side,
So what
obviously.
is the positive part of it?
like she said she made reference of a man beating his wife. You know, there are also homes where parents tend to treat themselves with so
Too
much
much
love,
love.
Love.
Yeah.
right? And the kids are watching these things. Don't get me wrong. My mom says, uh, if your papa and your mama don't train you, you get where you go reach, you go train
Train
yourself.
yourself. Yeah, that's normal.
You understand? Along the line, some people get it wrong. That's growth.
Yeah.
Right? So you tend to meet people, you tend to see things that change
Your
your
mentality.
mindset and your mentality. That's if you're not strong mentally, you know. So I mean, I think that's just
Okay. So is it just based on family? I think society too
Yeah, the
has
society,
an
sorry.
effect on
Okay.
it.
The society thing comes in from when you are an adult. Like your parents might actually raise you in a Christian way. You grew up going to church. If you are a redeemer, you grew up going to camp every day. Then you get to a certain age where peer pressure sometimes affects you. So you feel like everything your friend does, it's the normal thing. You would be surprised how you are deviating from how you grew up. Like imagine a child raised in a good home and the child maybe gets admission into the university and start taking drugs, and it feels like okay, that's the best thing to do, but you cannot blame it. At the end of the day, most of the time they end up blaming the parent. When you now get to the home of all these children, you discover that they were well raised, they grew up in a Christian home. So what happened? Obviously peer pressure. So that's where the society changes comes in. And it's a decision that you get to make yourself. I don't think that should be something you have to blame your parent for. Do you get? So I feel like that's where it comes in.
Okay. Yeah, Orlando.
I think one way or the other, right? You can blame the parents, you
Okay.
know.
So why did you say
Why
that?
did you say that?
Uh, I mean, parents are guardians. You know, there's an extensive meaning to the word being a parent. You know, there's a very long and extensive meaning to the word being a parent. You're a guardian, you're a protector, you're a provider, and all that and all that. Now, you made reference of uh kids who go to school,
Mhm.
university, and stuff. I know many children, right, growing children who were abandoned, you know, in process of wanting to go into the university and come out. You know, ladies most especially, it messes them up completely. I schooled in university, and I can tell you for a fact that I met people who their parents are well to do, but then when they get to school, they whole different story. And you know, these people are victims. When they tell you their stories, you will understand that
Why it's
these
like
people are
this?
victims of like parental, I don't know what to call it. I don't know what to
Lack
call
of
it.
parental care.
Yeah, you understand. And these people's parents are well to do. Funny enough, right? At the end of the day, it all falls back down to self-discipline, self-control. You understand? So parents have like a very big role to play, and they have a very big impact to the digression of, you know, basic characters of children and how it applies to their relationship and marital life.
So
Yep.
let's go back to um the part where she talked about relationship,
Yeah.
where the man is being domestic. Would you blame it on the parents? Because I feel like some men, they might train them well. Do you understand? They trained them, they raised them in the right way. But at the end of the day, they took a decision that is not what aligned with their parents.
Mm.
Do you think they went off, or they just told themselves that this is the kind of life I want? And do you think so?
I think there's no smoke without fire. You know, there's always a trigger
There's always
to
a choice.
everything, to every emotional feeling, to every mental feeling, to every physical action or every reaction. You know, so it's not necessarily what you think it is.
So what if the man now beats the woman? You know,
I
in
don't,
what in
I
what
don't,
way?
I'm sorry. I don't think being abusive is something that you just get to learn.
Now,
Okay.
I feel like the trace would definitely come from your upbringing. It has to be from maybe it might not necessarily mean it's from your parents. It could be the way you beat your younger sister. Like your younger sister, maybe because you are 7 years older than her, and because you're hungry, you just beat her mercilessly. Like in my house, let me take for example, my dad don't allow my brother eat my niece. I can actually eat her, but he always forbids her from eating her because sometimes the way he would just get angry and just start beating her, like it could start from there. Like it could just be, oh, I feel like it's the right thing to do because my girlfriend is says something that pisses me off. Then the next thing to do is just eat her or just give her a slap. I feel like abusive relationship or any abusive traits a man has is definitely from his upbringing. It's not just something that you get to learn. Probably maybe you lived with someone that beats his girlfriend or something. I don't think that works. If it's any other thing, probably any other thing, maybe it's something that you get to learn from the
Like you
society
said,
or
peer
why growing up.
pressure, right?
Yeah.
You might see your friend beating his girlfriend and feel like, oh, this is the right way.
I, I
Do you
don't think
understand?
so.
This is the right way to correct a child or his girlfriend. Sorry, because I watched this. I don't know if you know Lost
Yeah,
Mirage.
yeah.
Yes, there was this show. There was this particular episode where the guy asked the girl that, "Do you mean that you like it when your spouse beats you?" She said it feels like it's correcting.
I think I saw
She
that
understand. So do you
episode.
feel
Yeah.
like that
That's
is the
because
right?
she's used to toxicity.
Does that
Maybe she
falls
has
back to her parent or because of the relationship she was
maybe she
in?
watched her parents, she watched her mom being beaten by her dad. Like it's a normal thing for her. And maybe the first relationship she got into,
You know,
it was
sometimes
very toxic and
exactly.
she got
Sometimes it doesn't
used to
have
it.
to be from
Yeah,
the
it doesn't have to
parents.
be from
It
the
doesn't
parents all
have
the
to be
time.
from the
Yes,
You
parents,
know,
but it could possibly have a trace
and the trace goes to what
to
her
the
ex.
to the parents
some
first.
some some children, you'll be surprised, yeah,
Yeah.
what some kids learn from outside.
Yeah. Okay.
You'll be so surprised, right? I know of a lady, a very young girl, who told me around early this year that she likes it. She liked it when her boyfriend slapped her for the first time. Like
Yeah.
she,
Toxicity.
like I'm like, what the? And I know this girl's parents.
Okay?
They are not like that. I know like the family background. I mean, direct from her parents. They're very cool, loving, and accommodating people. You understand? So I think she traveled, right? And when she traveled, and after she came, we got talking when she traveled. After she came back, I was seeing just
Different
different
character.
scatter scatter character. Like I couldn't even like trying to phantom like where is this come
Okay.
from? Like, what really got my attention was when she said she likes it when her boyfriend slaps
Hmm.
She's obviously not raised in love. Let's
her.
say that's the trace.
That's
How
where
do you
I'm
mean
getting.
exactly?
That's where I'm
She's
getting
obviously
to.
not raised in
See,
love
let's
because I
let's see.
mean,
Let's leave it this way. Let's say it this way or see it this way. Let's say she was raised in love, because our parental love is different from the love that someone else, like a spouse, will give.
yeah,
Mm.
Sure, you get. So, what if the love that a spouse showed her was totally different?
different from
She understands. So she got used to that and feel like, oh, that's very comfortable.
That's actually a very good point. That's actually a very good
So
point.
how do
But then there's as you grow, right? That's maturity. There's what we call discipline, self-control, self-discipline and self-control. Like I said, I gave an example of what my mom says. You get where parents will train you rich.
reach
You
you
get where
train
you go start
yourself.
to dey train
yeah?
It's
yourself.
normal.
Train yourself no mean say you go dey work, dey see money for outside dey put for your pocket. No, go out and give yourself sense.
Sense. Yeah.
Do you understand? You don't see your mom fighting with your dad. You don't see your dad fighting with your mom, right? What's your common sense supposed to tell you? Follow that trait. Do
Yes.
you understand?
Yeah.
That's brain. That's you using your head as you are growing. Some people are just so ignorant of the fact that these are things you need to learn. They just
Because
want to live the life and grow. Especially now that I'm talking about the teenagers and the early 20s and all that stuff. And the Gen Z thing, I get annoyed when I hear that word Gen Z because no,
New
it's facts.
generation, of course.
I mean, there's always going to be like a generational difference
Yeah.
between
Millennial
have the
and Gen
millennial
Z.
Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas or whatever they're called. But then there is always an atom of sense in the past. You understand?
Yes.
Me personally, right? What I do is I like to go back. You
To
know,
base.
I like to go back and as much as I'm very old modern, I'm still a traditional person,
Yeah, obviously.
and that has helped me a lot. Not when I say traditional, I don't mean I go and serve my those
Yeah, I
juju and
No, we
stuff.
understand
understand.
what
Yeah,
you're
I
saying.
still like to go back to the roots.
Roots.
You
Go back to
understand?
base.
Yes, because I'm seeing a lot. I'm seeing lots of nonsense in the world now. So I like to go back, fetch from the past, the good past, bring them and apply them into my life. Not everybody has this discipline to do that too. You understand? Not everybody has the discipline to do that. That's why I said initially that it's sometimes parents and it's sometimes not parents.
Okay.
You understand?
So we spoke about the right. So what
Yeah.
are the positive effects of gifts? Like your childhood experience.
Okay. If I'm to speak from my now I don't know, I can't tell if it's a good thing or it's a bad thing, like my experience that's helped me positively some aspect. But I think it's a positive thing for me, you know, come from a very disciplined home. My mom and my dad, they are good disciplinarians. If you mess up now, my papa ready to carry this table, stone you. Yes, you understand? And forgive me to say this, I have like 6 sisters, the only son, right? And all my 6 sisters, they have taken that trend of being hotties. You understand? Like being very hot headed, like
Yeah.
my elder sister, the one behind me, the one after that one, you know, just name them. I think like just two of them are still cool, you know. We have taken after that trait, you understand?
Yeah.
But then I decided to make a choice not to be like that. I made the choice because I don't like to be violent. I like to be like happy.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, it's just choice.
Yeah.
You
So
understand?
do you think that being that your parents are disciplinarian, would you pass that on to your children?
Definitely, but
You won't do
there's
it too much.
there's a
Mm.
twitch to it.
Okay.
Like I made mention of generational difference. The way our parents trained us was the way their parents trained them, right? And the way their grandparents, like the tree
Yeah.
goes back and goes back. But then the understanding that there should be a difference in pattern as the generation change
Yeah.
or changes should be applied. You understand? I can tell you words now as a kid, right? That will mess you up without beating you.
Sometimes words hurt more than beating.
I gave somebody a trick, one of my female friends, I was fast. So that younger brother that's very stubborn. The word is like a goat, let's say. I told kids, you need to understand them. They don't like to be
Oh,
boxed. Once you box them, don't beat them, just box, put the child in a space where he will not be free.
free.
You know dogs, right? How
Yes.
dogs want to run around.
Wow.
Put them in one space. Stay there. Don't move.
Listen more.
You will hear cry, especially when they hear or see
There are other
their
Their
ones
other ones
peers
playing
playing.
playing
Yeah.
around.
around.
It messes up with their mind and they want to
Do better.
do better. You understand? It's not my papa beats me. I I have I have scars in my body. Right?
That shows that you were stubborn when you
You see, it's not necessarily
Ness.
being
were
stubborn.
okay.
Disciplined parents. If you let's take for instance, right, this stuff.
Okay.
If it's supposed to be like this and you mistakenly put it like this, you are dead. Yeah. And another thing you should understand is that as kids, right, We are mischievous by nature.
Yes.
We want to, that thing say no, we should not do. And that one we want to do, want to just explore, And our parents, they don't tend to understand
And
that this is our time. Imagine my mom will be going out to tell her, my other son, don't turn on this TV. Come on, for Christ's sake, there's light.
Right. So you want to turn it
We'll
on.
turn it on. So they need to understand that as the generation changes, as the age changes, they should change the pattern of how these kids are being brought up. You understand? Nobody's saying don't discipline them, but adjust with the time.
yeah, you have to balance.
Yeah, just balance
Yeah, I think it happens mostly in African homes. Just like you said, that's how I was raised too. My dad was a disciplinarian. Like you, when you see my dad, you tremble. That's how I was raised. Did you get? So my dad was the one that beats more. My mom would just give you two slap. So I feel like it's more. I can't say in all families, but out of 100%, I think 80%, or let me say 70, because everything I am today, everything I am is how I was raised. Because even till now, I think it's just now that I'm trying to adjust. Before, I cannot sit down beside my dad and have a conversation. That's how I tremble. Even now, when I hear my dad call my name in a way that I don't think that's normal, I'll just be like, oh, problem. So those things, anytime I sit down to focus on how it's affecting my present upbringing, I'm always very thankful, because there are some things that I cannot do because that's how I was raised. So positively, it affects adult relationships too. That's good upbringing. And most of all these things that you feel like they were not okay, though you might not want to raise your children that way because you feel like they were just too much. I mean, there are some things that you do that wouldn't warrant beating, but your dad will want to beat you and beat you outside where people will see you. Do you get? So all those things, I felt like they were not necessary.
Okay.
But that's your dad. I mean, you should be scared. You should tremble when they're around. But these things actually positively helps us presently in our adult
Do you
age. So
think differently from what she just
Yeah,
said?
like there's something she said.
yeah.
When
Right,
you
the
see
last
your dad, you should tremble.
Yeah.
No.
No, it's not like I am scared of my dad. Like I respect him so much.
Or you should you
Or
should
let
have
me
said
say,
you
let me put it in the
respect him.
constant of I'm more closer to my mom than my dad, because while I was growing up, my dad was always working. My mom does more of business, so she was always around. So because of the way my dad is always everywhere, like if you don't even dispose this dustbin, I mean, you are getting a beating. But it's funny how presently I now see that I feel like it's not even because of beating, that's why I'm not close to him, but it's because he was not mostly around. So now that he's retired, I can even sit down to have conversations with him. But those, if I remember most of the things that he did, I mean, I cannot raise my children that way, but I will to some extent, because I wouldn't want to now start handling my children in a soft way. Like most of this beating helps. Let's just be truthful.
Okay, let's take it back to when you said it was not always around.
Yeah.
That is another factor to affecting adults.
Yeah.
You understand? Adult experience. Some children, their parents are not always around. You understand? And they get to be in different situations. You understand? Let's take, for example, a girl that is being kept in a neighbor's house. You understand? And the mother is somewhere thinking that my child is in a safe hands, and not knowing to the mom that the child is either being maltreated or being assaulted
or
sexually. She
molested.
understand? Sexually assaulted. She get. So this now, if the child is the kind of person that is not able to open up, she understand? She carries it, she understand, till adulthood. And sometimes those children, those girls end up being either sex addicts if they are being sexually
molested and they don't get to
abused.
speak up.
So how can they handle such situations?
Okay.
Do you want to?
Okay, for me, my dad wasn't around, but my mom was filling that role very well. My dad is a disciplinarian, but my mom, I grew up in a family house where I had uncles staying with us. So my mom knew that she had more female children. So she was always like, always checking us. Like, I don't sleep naked in the house. Sorry to use that language, because my mom comes to the room to check every time to see if we are sleeping naked, because rooms are around us. And so the fact that my dad was not always around, there's this fear that I have that, oh, my mom is here, and there's a way that she will look at you. You would know that you're not supposed to
Just
be
the
playing with
eyes
your uncle.
reshaping your.
Do you get? If you are playing with your uncle the way you're not supposed to be playing, she will just call your name. And so, though my dad was not always there, but my mom was always feeling that space. Do you
Yes.
get? So, but it doesn't work like that with all families. That's when maybe the mother is always going to the market, not always around, and the father is not there. So, who is filling in that space?
Space.
There has to be one parent doing it. It's not like my dad travels; it doesn't travel,
But
but
what if the
it
two
goes,
parents are not
and
around?
that's where the problem comes
There's a
in.
problem
That's
here.
where the problem comes in.
This very topic can be extended to, like, you know,
Yes,
Other
that's
things,
why
yeah,
I'm.
yeah.
you understand. So that, let's take for instance now, we can extend this to why there should be like uh as a woman you should be like a full-time housewife.
Full-time housewife.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
understand? You can extend this to that,
Mm.
but I don't think that's what we are
No.
Facing
talking
right
about,
now.
right? So I'll take us back to as regards relationship, maybe with spouse, or I feel like my childhood has messed me up one way or the other, and has also made me one way.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, till now, these are our parents. They don't know how they've damaged us.
Exactly.
Yes.
They
That's the
just feel like,
thing.
yeah,
They
they
don't
just feel
know.
like they've raised this child and this child is
Just
doing well. You know, blah 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 blah. Yeah. It's not always like that. I'll give you an example with, like, my experience. When I was much younger, I had this sense of being alone
Being
and
independent.
being independent.
Mhm.
And I had, like, we have
Siblings.
people around every time. You know, we have people around, extended families, friends, all this kind of stuff. But I always wanted to be alone,
Mm.
Okay.
right? You know why? Because they have beat me in a way that my brain
Has reset it.
has just automatically reset itself. You know, there are experiences you go
Yeah,
through,
yeah.
Yes.
eh? Tragic things will become your nature.
You won't
Yes.
be able to open up
You understand? I
anymore.
said, in my secondary school, I was in the parlor in my dad's house. I was just in the parlor in the evening. There was no light. And everybody, my siblings, they were outside. Everybody was just talking. And my mom was like, "Where's this boy?" I was inside the house in the complete, total darkness. Now, they called me outside. My mom even made it worse by saying, "You don't join court."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It happens. It
No,
happens when
no,
you are
no,
always
yeah.
isolated. Yeah.
I'm not saying this to, like, throw shades or spite my mom,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? I'm saying this for other people to be able to learn
Learn.
Yeah.
Yes.
from my experience.
And how to leave
You
that.
know,
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
out from that
so
position.
so I was now like, every time I want to be alone, like, I want my space. I'm the only boy for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
I can't be in the midst of women
Oh,
anytime.
yeah.
So I was wanting to be alone, this kind of stuff. You know, so that statement made my nature alter. I became playful by force.
Yeah.
And that's not the real me.
Usually, yeah.
They give you a personality
Yeah,
that wasn't yours.
I didn't want
They basically just switch your personality
completely,
all the time.
So I was now being playful. If I'm serious, nobody will know when I'm serious. Yeah, because I had to force that character, that attribute into my, and it has, really messed me up. Now, the beating did cause many things for children. God.
A
Some
lot.
people don't understand, especially our parents that think they are disciplinarian. right?
They are doing more damage.
They are doing more damage than good.
Yes.
Now, I want to leave the real me because I'm no longer under my parents.
Yeah.
And because I didn't have the opportunity to live that life back then,
I'm
I want to live it
live it
now, and it's
now.
affecting every person I want to date.
Late, yeah.
You understand?
So it does affect.
So it affects. I might just be I might just be my my girlfriend and stuff. I'll not say a word for a whole day.
No, okay, I
And
get
then
it.
she'll be like, "Are we fighting? Are we crossed? I'm like, "No, I'm
We're
okay.
good.
We're good." I'm trying to. She'll be like, "What have I done? Babe, I'm sorry. There's nothing, madam. For real, this is just me trying to
Yeah.
be me. You
That's
know,
playing a
because
psychological role in your
yes, in
head.
my
So
head,
it
you
just
know.
happens by default.
So I feel like assuming I had lived that life back
Mhm.
then, I would have, seen reasons to adjust. Now I adjusted by force, and I want to live that
Live that
life.
life. Yeah, true.
Do you
Okay.
understand?
Yes.
So,
All right.
I've had many scenarios. Now I'm trying it. Let's say I'm trying it to go into a relationship, and it's always hard because the talking stage, I'm like a carefree person. Like I don't even care.
Okay, yeah.
If you tell me, maybe you call me, I'm like, hey, how are you? I'm good. I just go straight to maybe I know I won't
Your
even
intentions. You
yeah, I
don't
won't
even
even
yeah.
start asking all those vital
Vital
questions,
questions.
because I didn't in my
You're not
childhood,
used to
I'm not
it.
used to this stuff.
It's not like when you come back from school, your mom now asks you that, what happened in school?
So
How did school go? What did you do in school?
I
All of
say
some
those
parents
things.
I
don't
say
do
I
that.
write common in my primary school. If you write common entrance, they give you results. I write common entrance. I carry third.
He couldn't go home.
I know. I reach my mama's shop. My mama tell me say, and my elders that will follow me write common entrance. No reach 6 too.
But because you are the man.
They no gree me. See, I no hear word. This is why they tell you.
Yeah.
I feel
no
like they
hear word.
expected way too
Too
much
much from
Yes,
from
you
from me.
because you were the only
You
boy.
understand? And the gender also.
Yeah, affects too.
Yes. Oh, you are the man
Yeah.
of the house, so you
It's-
have to be
it's
the
how
first.
Yeah.
Okay. So with everything being said, it all falls down, like you guys said, it all falls down to the upbringing of the child.
Child, yeah.
So even if even if the child grows up and
Just minutes.
goes away from where he or she was taught, it still falls down to the
Yes.
child, to the upbringing of
You
the
have to
child.
remember your foundation.
All right.
Yeah.
So, what is your advice to people that are unable to open up from this experience? Like they are still carrying, like for example, for those ladies that grew up being assaulted and they're still keeping it inside. Do you understand? And it's still affecting them in their present relationship. What do you think they should do? Should they talk about it? Should
Talking
they
about it is one of the best. I know it doesn't work for everybody.
It doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah, it doesn't work for everybody. But there are sometimes if you trust someone to talk about your issues,
can be used against
yeah,
you?
it could be used. Yeah, it could be used against you. But any way you feel like can help you possibly, you should just do it. Do you get?
Okay.
And as I don't know, you could be closer to your mom than your dad. So as you grow up, there are some things that you don't get to tell your mom before you get to some certain age where you feel like, oh, maybe now she listens, unlike before that she doesn't pay attention. You might bring relationship talks to her and she's there to listen, and you'll be surprised, like, oh, my mom listens to this kind of stuff. So when you see situations like that, you take advantage of it. You speak up. Speaking up helps a lot. It doesn't work for people, it does work for me. And if it works for you, that's the best thing to do. It releases burden from you. So
Okay.
that's my opinion.
Okay. Would you like to
Yeah, I think
contribute to that?
she's very right. But then I'd like to add that willingness
Okay.
is the first thing. Willingness and discovery.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you have not discovered the negative part of these things or the negative effect of these things, and you are not willing to change from it, there's no magic. There's nobody you talk to
So
who
yeah,
said
willingness.
That
Yeah.
can
that will help you out. If you like, go and meet 100 therapists. You will not be able to like, come out of it. You understand?
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing and discover, find that, know that this thing is a mess. Do you
Mess.
know when I
Yeah.
knew that I was a mess? When I realized I wasn't scared of death.
Hmm.
Oh, that's to the
That's
extreme.
another.
It's very
That's
strong.
Yeah,
another
yeah,
topic
yeah,
It's
yeah. I
very
get,
entirely.
I
strong.
get
It's
you.
very
Yeah.
strong. This topic is very strong.
Yeah.
When I realized I wasn't scared, you know, I sat in the car one day, the front tire just it
And you were
just
not
lost.
shaking.
I was just calm. I was pressing my phone. I knew what was happening. Then I knew that something was wrong with
So
me.
you
You
have to
were
be
so
willing.
nonchalant, always
You
nonchalant with
have to be
everything.
willing
Then I
to
had to
Yeah.
be willing to like
Accept that
adjust
you're
and
adjust and
yeah.
you
accept.
know that- yes.
Okay. So, like we've heard, you have to communicate if you can to people. You have to be also willing. So, this is the end on today's episode of this reality circle. So, thank you very much for
You're
Thank you
coming.
for
welcome.
having me.
And
Thank you
please,
for having us.
audience, comment on her YouTube, subscribe, and press the notification bell. See you next time. Bye.